In part 4 of the Locket pillbox, we will install our inner bezel or inner sleeve, if you will, that will allow the two parts to stay closed together. So first we need to measure, we need to dedicate one of the two sides as the bottom, and then we need to measure the depth to know how high to cut our strip to make that bezel. If it's round, it will be all the way around the same measurement. If it's oval, you will use the longer measurements. Then you want to add 1 millimeter on the width for the strip. If making a round bezel for a round locket, you will use the length formula to figure out the length of your strip for the inner bezel. If making an oval locket, it's a little bit more difficult, and we need to use a little piece of binding wire and wind it around our mandrel if our mandrel is small enough, or around the inside of our locket to figure out the length. This is a good little trick anytime you need to make a bezel or a setting or anything out of a shape that you don't have a mandrel for. You can use a binding wire or a silver wire that is the same thickness of your plate that you will be using. And you shape it up as best you can, as close as you can, and then you cut it, measure, and use your plate, and you will be very close. So first I'm measuring on the outside just because it's easier to get that curve, and then I will cut it to get closer, and then I will position it on the inside and shape it even better to be really, really close and accurate. In this case here, it will take you a significant amount of time to shape this up to match your curve perfectly on the inside. So this takes quite a bit of time of fidgeting and playing and adjusting your wire, but it is worth it because we need our bezel to fit really well and snug. Here I'm opening what I've made, my mock-up bezel, making it nice and straight, and then I will measure the length exactly, and that will be the length of my strip for my inner bezel. Making sure I have one side that's really nice and flat, as well as my two ends at the right measurement, filed perfectly flat. I will now bend this as if making a ring to solder. At the moment I'm making an oval because I'm soldering anyway. Even if I was making a round bezel, I would make an oval to prepare for soldering, to have a good connection at the soldering joint. But because I'm making an oval piece, I will check and try to get at least close to what I'm doing for my oval locket. So this may mean taking it out and filing some more if the piece is longer. You don't want to have any gaps between the bezel and our inner wall. So it's going to take some time taking it out, measuring, positioning, filing, etc. until it is perfect. After pickling, rinsing, and drying, we will file off any solder bumps on the inside of our seam, and then we will make it perfectly round if we're doing a round locket onto using your ring mandrel. If using oval, and if you have the right mandrel, you will use the mandrel to make it perfectly oval. If not, we'll use pliers And again, take our time to adjust our oval to be perfect. You can use a template as a guide. Use your Locket to choose the perfect oval if it is close to what you're doing, and then it can help you. It can guide you to make your inner bezel the same shape. So you want to adjust and then start trying it into your Locket. It should fit snugly, and if it's not quite going in yet, that's a good thing. We need to sand on the outside to prepare the surface anyway, so that'll remove that little bit extra that we have there that's not allowing it to fit in. Let's prepare the inside of our bezel as well, removing that white, fine, powdery finish so the solder will stick well. And then we will keep on trying it until it fits well. Make sure the edge that was filed flat at the beginning is the edge that's going inside the Locket. Sometimes when using a very thin strip and bending it round or oval, it can start going bowing a little bit. So we need to file straight to bring that straightness back into the metal, and that way it'll fit better snugly into our Locket. So you can alternate between filing and sanding if necessary, if you have to remove more or less of the metal. And now we are in. We have a nice tight fit with no gap. And of course now we have to accommodate the curvature of the oval as we did with the sidewall. So this is not necessary for the round Locket, but for the oval Locket, we have to take that inner bezel out and file the two ends as we did with the sidewall, so we match the curvature of the oval. We're going to check on the inside and see that we have a nice match to our curved plate on the inside. And finally, time to solder. I will use my flux and my Prips flux, and I will deposit my solder onto that inner bezel, not on the inside of the Locket, but onto the inner bezel that we just made. Preheat a little bit so when I put my solder, they don't all jump away. And I want to put my solder all the way around.